And then the last thing that we would recommend teaching is the Roosh block test. And we're still favoring that as the best large column test to teach at a level 1 level. It has a couple benefits. Number one is it is a larger sample size of snow. It's the largest sample size of snow of any of the large column tests. And it's the easiest to interpret, especially if you include the fracture character part of it, that whole block, partial block, most block ratings with it. And it also gets people involved. It also really illustrates the way a slab fails, so it's a link back to your other lessons. And you know, we're not really addressing it. We're not saying that you shouldn't teach the ECT, for example, or the PST, for example. What we're just saying is it's not going to be in the curriculum materials because, you know, the Roosh block does all the same things. The compression test does all the same things that we would ask of those tests in the level 1 curriculum. But if you wanted to make a point about propagation and how it works, and you know you're going to get some dramatic effect out of it, you know, by all means, you can go ahead and show it. But we're just not teaching it in the course for that reason.
Well, in regards to his question about how do you explain what does it mean, I find that I'll answer it. Well, it may mean that you discover a surprise, but it more likely means that you corroborated maybe something that you already expected. But ultimately, for the student, it's really only an introduction to the techniques of stability evaluation, and that's all that they're supposed to get into the class anyway.
Yeah.
It's just an introduction.
Exactly, yeah. And you know, I'd even couch it in that, you know, a lot of studies are showing that even if you're an expert, because of the variability in the snowpack, that the amount of snow digging that you are probably going to do in a recreational context, not in a snow study context, isn't that much more useful either. But it is useful for learning. It is useful for verifying your trip plans and what's in your pre-trip hazard forecast that you've gone through in a complete checklist and those kinds of things. So we'll go through this a little bit more with Margaret later and just kind of get you guys more familiar with how we use it. And these are some good discussions. I just wanted to show you a real quick excerpt from the human factor solutions, just to kind of see. I mean, it's nothing new to the curriculum, but it's just kind of, it's been sort of, you know, just more formalized, basically. One other thing that's been changed and formalized in the curriculum, it's in the manual, is the way we organize all the human factor traps, the common traps. And what we found is that you can kind of organize them into 5 categories of types of traps, and maybe that'll help people to kind of visualize it a little bit better. You know how we have just sort of bulleted lists of like various things, and it's just sort of randomized. So we're trying to organize it a little bit, make more sense. And it actually, the types all, you know how Aries a Ponzi scheme, where Murph is like the beneficiary, he's like the Bernie Murphoff. It actually spells Ponzi, but with an S. But so like the categories would be like, there's pressures of society, there's overconfidence / underconfidence, there's a narrow perspective, closed-mindedness, shortcuts or complacency, and impaired objectivity. And so it kind of lists all these human factor traps in terms of those categories, and just has like a little mnemonic to go with it. And then how do we address that? And the solutions for managing human factor issues and traps, you know, in the trip planning process and in the field. So stuff like have a shared vision, create a team mentality, promote trip discussion, build consensus, use appropriate group size and profile, use checklists and document with a field book, plan for emergency response, and then solutions for the field, step up to a leadership role, encourage field discussion, communicate clearly, take breaks and regroup. I think there's more, but I don't know if I can scroll down.